How do you really know if you have a calling in your life with music? Like, how do you gauge whether this is just a hobby or passion or something you're just really interested in? We're going to tackle all of this right now. Okay, so let's talk about your calling.
Young lady, what do you want to do with your life?
And I know for sure some people aren't going to like what I have to say because I'm going to expose some deep beliefs that artists hold on to. But I also know for some of you, like, this is going to deeply resonate. Those are the kind of artists I'm speaking to. So I'm going to break this down so it's crystal clear on where you're at as an artist. Here's how it works. It goes like this: interest, hobby, passion, calling. Okay, so here's the truth. A lot of people say, I've got a calling. They're called to music. They're called to be artists. They have a calling to be on stage in front of thousands of people. And I don't think that's true. And I don't say that to be mean, or I don't say that to be arrogant. I'm honestly speaking this with love. Like, I've had the opportunity to speak with thousands of artists one-on-one in the past couple of years. And what I'm saying isn't just my own opinion. Like, this comes from listening to story after story and hearing people's deepest desires and dreams and walking alongside of them through, major obstacles and challenges. And a lot of people think God's called them. This is a calling on their life for music. But they're only at the interest level, maybe the hobby level. And we're going to see what it takes to move through these so that, you're deeply connected to your calling if you really do have one. And here's the thing. If music isn't a calling, if writing deep songs about the kingdom of God isn't your jam, that's okay. Like, there's no judgment here. There's no shame here. But I want to make sure if you're using that term, if you're using that language, calling, that you really know what it means. You're not just throwing that around or using that in a manipulative way to get favors from people or making yourself seem important or special. Look, God calls some people to build houses. Some people are called to be missionaries or coach basketball and mentor people. The Lord calls some people to be nurses and take care of people. And some people are called to make music that's going after more than, the commercial formulaic products out there. So if that's you, hey, buckle up. Let's dive in. So the first thing is interest. And we've got a lot of interest in our culture. We're interested in so much stuff, and I think that's cool. Curiosity.
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 Insatiable curiosity.
We live in a time where we're inundated with a million things to be interested in. Camping, pickleball, swimming, woodworking. I mean, we all have hundreds of interests, but the danger here is that there's usually not a lot of action. It just stays as a nice, cute little thought in your head. We see this all the time in posts. People run an ad and someone comments, interested. And they're probably never going to click on that. They're never going to follow through. They're just interested. And it doesn't become any more than that. So most of the time with interests, the person has barely done it, or maybe they haven't even done it at all. Let me use an example, let's say gardening. If someone says, oh, I'm really interested in gardening, they're kind of saying, like, I'm interested in learning how to do it, but I haven't done it yet. They haven't done much gardening in life. But when they say, yeah, gardening is something I want to do every week, that's where it moves more into a hobby. So if music is just an interest to you, you like listening to music, you haven't learned any instruments, maybe you've written a couple of songs. The danger zone here is like millions of people are interested in music. There's nothing special or unique or crazy about like enjoying music. And that danger zone can keep you interested for the next 20 years and never really fall in love with making music. So in order to move from like interest to the next part, to hobby, the difference here is that a hobby is when you start to form habits. It becomes part of your routine, part of your language. It shows up on your calendar. See, like most people who are interested are dabbling, and a hobby is when you start like making this more important in your life. Most musicians on a worship team are probably at this place, right? Like, it's fun, it's enjoyable. You know the basics, you know the language, you can use your skills to serve, but you're not necessarily like growing or wanting to go beyond that. It's just a fun part of life that you enjoy. So I usually classify the hobby stage as the part in your life where you get Christmas presents and birthday presents related to your hobby, right? Like Jason likes playing tennis, and it's becoming a regular hobby of his. So now Aunt Sherry gets him tennis mugs and tennis ornaments and tennis stickers. And he's like, stop, for the love of everything. Yes, I like tennis, but please stop buying me. Ooh, that's actually a pretty cool t-shirt. You get what I'm talking about, okay? So a hobby is becoming a part of your life. But again, millions of people have hobbies, like songwriting as a hobby, making music as a hobby. It's an enjoyable, beautiful part of life, but it's not really like requiring anything from you. So as you move down now into passion, the defining characteristic of this is like someone's moving into a state of self-motivation. Like they're self-starters. They're taking initiative on their own to continue to grow and learn and absorb and be pushed. So they welcome challenges, they welcome feedback. They're not relying on other people for motivation. They're not relying on other people to get information. In other words, they're not waiting around. They're not waiting for someone to show them how to do it. They have enough passion for what they're doing that they're not comfortable staying where they're at. They want more. And it's showing up in how they prioritize their schedule, how they start investing and spending money and resources to grow in their passion. Like think about golf. You might be interested in golf and you play a couple times a year. Golf is a hobby. You're doing it routinely. And now you enjoy talking the language of golf. But when golf becomes like a passion, right now you're buying specific equipment. Now you're watching videos. Now you're learning techniques. You're maybe trying to play in some tournaments. Maybe you're even hiring a coach to help you change your game a little bit because you're deeply invested in this thing and you really want to get good at it. You want to go towards excellence, right? So passion is going to start showing up in your identity, like as the thing that you do. And this is the thing we tend to associate people with, right? Like Jason, who's playing tennis and getting the mug from Aunt Cheryl. Now he's like winning tournaments and getting recognition. And maybe he's known in his area as a reliable resource for tennis, right? Like people come to him and asking him for advice because he's starting to master his skill. Okay, so the danger here is more so in the use of the word. People love throwing this word around, passion, right? Oh, Kyle, let me tell you about music, man. It's just my passion. It's this thing that I love doing. And I'm like, oh, so how long have you been playing keys or guitar? Well, I haven't really learned an instrument yet. It's more so just, I'm writing ideas down. You call that a passion? Interesting. Or like, Kyle, I'm so passionate about worshiping the Lord and creating songs for the church, I just love worshiping. And I'm like, okay, tell me how that passion is showing up in the songs that you're writing. Well, I haven't really written any yet for my church. Okay, so there's something not translating here. You're using this word passion, but it's not showing up. So this is the thing I see all the time with musicians. So they talk about fans and, I'm supposed to be leading people from stage and I want to be touring and man, if I could just make a living. They talk about all this stuff, but they don't even love making music. They're scared to learn music theory or they don't want to grow in their skill set. And it's like, what are we missing here? Like you say the word passion, but I'm not seeing it. So the passionate musicians, like you're going to know, you're going to see fruit. You're going to see stuff coming from their life. You're going to see this zeal, this zest. It's that passion that I talk about in this video about Van Gogh. So what does it mean then to take that passion and to go deeper into a calling? What is a calling? What does that mean? Well, it's more than a cute hobby. It's more than a deep passion. Calling goes beyond these things because it involves responsibility. Ooh, responsibility. Don't say I'm melting. I'm melting. To be called by God to make music is a holy thing. It involves you being responsible with the fire in your bones, the thing that keeps you up at night, the thing you meditate on, the thing you pray for, you long for, ache for. Look, that's all passion. But this next part is what most artists just don't want to hear. Really, I'm warning you. Your calling is going to require things from you. It's going to require more of you than you think. Ouch. It's not going to be easy. It's going to cost a lot. Your time, your energy, your finances, your emotions, your relationships, your expectations, your lifestyle. Like one of the tried and true measurements that I found with artists of whether they actually have a calling or not is around their views on what their calling is going to require from them. How much time, how much energy, how much money, how many resources, how much grit and tenacity do I have to have? Like people say this all the time. One of the first questions is, how much is it going to cost me? When someone asks that, I almost know for sure they're not connected to their calling. They're so wrapped up in their circumstances and their environment and their situation that they're not living in their calling. Imagine we said that with other things, like in marriage. Well, how much is it going to cost me? Having kids. Well, what is it going to require? How much time is it going to take? When people ask those questions, they're really just asking for how easy can this be for me? Because if it's too hard, I don't really want to do it. If it's going to require a lot of time, I don't have it. If it's going to take a lot of money, I just can't make that happen. And so what people really want to do is they want to fit their calling into their circumstances. Like, oh, I can do music if it's not going to cost me a lot. Or I'll totally do this music calling if I can do it within 5 hours a week. It doesn't work like that. So here's how I see it. If you truly believe you have a calling in your life to make deep, expressive, powerful kingdom music, and you know that it's a calling, it's not just a hobby, it's not just a passion, but you're not willing to invest your time, your energy, your money towards growing in that calling or walking out that calling, being fulfilled in that. How small of a calling is that? People say, I just don't like how much this has to cost me. What they're really saying is like, I don't like that I have to be responsible towards something that's not easy and cheap and requiring little effort. Believe me, I can't emphasize this enough. If you think it's money that's costing you, it's not. I'll say it again. If you think money is holding you back from your calling, it's not. Your calling will require way more of your time and your energy and your passion and your schedule and late nights and relationships than it'll cost money. So if you're not willing to invest money, you won't be willing to invest all the other stuff. I've seen this hundreds of times, and it requires way more of your time and energy than your finances. And for some reason with Christians, man, whether it's like crappy theology or a weak mindset or a lack of self-motivation or poverty mentality or delusional optimism, they think that their calling shouldn't have to cost them. If God's calling me to do this, He'll provide everything and I can just wait here and it'll all be magically done. Oh my goodness. No. Like if you have a calling on your life, I promise you, it will cost you a ton. That's just the truth. If you want to make bold, daring, innovative songs, like songs that carry the heart of God, songs that express the fullness of the kingdom, songs that bring healing and freedom, you're not going to get there by dabbling. You're not going to get there by the easy, cheap, pain-free path. You're not going to get there by baby steps or a cute little training or spending a couple months learning a little bit of guitar. Like if God's actually called you to make hundreds of beautiful songs, then you're either going to run after it or not. You're either saying yes or you're waiting around for the right time, waiting for inspiration to strike, waiting for someone to give you studio time, waiting till you have more logistics figured out, waiting till you have a better job, waiting till you have that perfect song. And I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. That's just not how it happens. Choosing God's calling is about accepting responsibility. The master puts coins in the hands, these talents in his servant's hands. And he says, go multiply them. And you can either bury them in the ground or go multiply, maximize, grow those things. That's being responsible. And I know artists don't like that word, but it's the truth. You're responsible for the gifts you've been given, the talents that you need to develop, the time that you need to prioritize, the money that you need to invest, the energy that you're wasting on less important things. You're responsible to not bury it in the ground. You're responsible to actually train as a musician, to chase after excellence. You're responsible to push yourself and grow as an artist. So I want to ask you, have you embraced your calling? Saying yes to long nights, yes to practicing scales, yes to writing and rewriting, yes to the frustrations, yes to the breakthroughs, yes to the feedback, yes to the critiques, yes to the failures, yes to falling in love with the craft, yes to the vulnerability, yes to the work. It doesn't mean much to just say, I know God's called me to music. What matters is, what are you doing about it?